What's up, y'all? It's the capital UNCN, man. You know what I'm talking to you about, right? We talking about the Good Advice Show and the Good Advice Extended Stay. Miko Noel, the Good Advice Show, man. We done a couple of shows. I know y'all enjoyed it, man. We will be back on soon. You know how we get down. And plus, my girl, Princess Landers, Good Advice Extended Stay, coming fresh out of Chicago, man. We expanding the format. BWNY. Griot Nation Network, man, coming together, black media working together, man, to bring you something to strengthen your relationships. And we're not talking about just romantic relationships, man. We talking about parent-child relationships, workplace relationships, anywhere you find yourself where you have to deal with people to affiliate and associate throughout our lives, which is everywhere. We deal with that, man, because we want us to be healthy and happy. Hey, just because my favorite happens to be, you know, romantic relationships or what have you, don't mean that yours is and yours has to be. So with that being the case, we covering the full gamut, man. We making sure you get everything you need. We straight dedicated, man. Can't wait till my girl Miko Noel get back in the building. Meanwhile, me and Princess Landers gonna hold it down, man. Y'all make sure y'all stay tuned. The Good Advice Extended Stay, Good Advice Show with Miko Noel. We bringing it all together, putting it under one umbrella, black media working together. This is Buffalo at its finest, man. You don't want to miss it. I am the capital UNCN. I'm just co-hosting, riding with the sisters, man. I'm enjoying it, and at the same time, bringing the love and life and liberation, the passion that we bring as a Griot Nation to the scenario. Hey, man, what can I say? You don't want to miss it. Y'all hold it down. Good advice extended stay. Unseen, Miko Noel, Princess Landers, Chicago, Buffalo, under one umbrella. Peace.
Okay, here we go, y'all. I am the capital UNCN. This is the Good Advice Extended Stay. For those that know us right about this time, y'all know how we get down, and you know who getting down with you. It is the Griot Nation on the Griot Nation Network, along with my sister, my girl, my co-host, my ace, my boon coon, Princess Landers out of Chicago. How you doing, sister?
I'm well, Unseen. How are you doing today?
I am doing well, very, very well. And lots of things going on in the news that, you know, entertainment news that we talked about earlier, surrounding some very peculiar admissions and very peculiar processes. And, we've had a chance to warm up around some of these entertainment things that are going on the social landscape, and maybe in the future on the Good Advice Extended Stay, we will give you our take on relationships as it pertains to the entertainment industry. A lot of times we don't know if they real, if they fake, if they just characters. You know, is it make-believe? Is it the land of make-believe in Hollywood? When you see people who have acted in movies actually together, are you looking at the real people, or are you looking at the characters? And so, you know, I think one day we're going to deal with that.
Yeah, that would be good. That would be nice for people to hear our conversations and our opinions, right, and our takes on what's going on and what's happening, because it's important to talk about it on a different platform other than what we see on TV.
No question. So how was your day, man? I mean, you know, how did it all roll out for you today?
My day was busy day. Kind of stressful. I had physical therapy today, and for my hip, my therapist, said to me that my range of motion is increasing.
That's good.
So that makes me excited, yes. And I've been doing the work at home, because, you know, physical therapy is just not about what you do when you're there. It's you have to come home and you have to do the work as well. So it's grueling, because I'm icing my hip every night and, you know, doing different stretches and exercises, and so it's good. So today has been good, actually. I'm relaxing in my favorite chair. I would say my favorite position, but that could come off, you know, sound like something else. But, you know, I haven't had my tea yet, but I'll have that before I go to bed. So today was good. How about you?
It was interesting. Was looking forward to the show, especially the topic that we have tonight. I think is very important. that we discussed the differences between like and love, and understanding how they affect relationships, and if we truly have one or the other, or which one is more important. I think, a lot of people, get into relationships for different reasons, and I may admire Princess Landers, I may respect Princess Landers, I may look up to Princess Landers, I may be attracted to Princess Landers, but are those foundational pieces to enter into a long-standing commitment, rather than how do I really feel about Princess Landers? You could love somebody like I love a lot of people and not like them, and it doesn't require that you do that to love an individual. But most people base their commitments on love, and the quality of the relationship then is centered around that commitment to that love, and not the general condition that they experience with each other on a daily basis. So we wanted tonight, Miss Landers, to get into that, and hopefully shine some light on what's necessary for us to have real quality relationships, and for us to be able to distinguish these two things, like and love, and be able to set forth in our relationships the type of condition that we want to actually have, the type of value that we want to actually experience. First of all, I want to thank everybody who has been checking out the shows before with me and Princess Landers on the Good Advice Extended Stay. We also want to, encourage you to continue with us, like our Facebook pages, our YouTube pages. Make sure you stay up with us, because we are going to continue this. This is not going to stop. The extended stay, the stay will be for the, non-foreseeable future. We will be coming to you every Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern time, 7 p.m. Central, making sure that you get what you need to be able to get through your week, your year, your month, and so on and so forth. And so with that being the case, we could go ahead and jump right into it. So, Princess Landers, let me ask you something. What do you think is the most important, when we talk about like and love, which one do you see as being a priority that we have to, be able to recognize if we're going into a committed relationship?
That I like someone. It's important to like someone, to like something, because if I like you, I like having you around. I like partaking in things with you. Liking you means I like talking to you and with you. It's an expression, we say a lot of things. You can love something, but you don't like it necessarily. And so to answer your question, like for me is more important than love.
Okay.
And those are the reasons why it's important to me. I choose like and likability versus, I think you have to have that first and foremost, because love can overshadow your feelings sometimes about how you feel or your position with someone. Sometimes we deal with people because it's been a period of time, but I love you, but I don't like the person that you are. I don't like the fact that you look down on other people. I don't like how you carry yourself. I don't like how you, communicate with me or with others.
Right.
Well, that is part of who you are as an individual. And so if I don't like those things, I don't like how you treat me, but yet I love you, somehow those two don't go hand in hand for me.
Very good. And I think that's a real live dilemma that a lot of us face, even outside of romantic relationships, if you will, and thinking about relationships in general, because like I said, love defines a commitment, and love defines the commitment, and like defines the treatment. And so what happens, when you say a generally likable person, people want to be around this person. When you do something that you like, it brings you joy, and the physiological response in your body is healthy. And people that are that experience things that they like are generally healthy people. Like, you know, if you eat a food, nobody's going to sit down and say, you know, I love spinach if they don't like the taste of it, but they love what it does for them. And so you may sit down and make that commitment to the nutritional value of it, but generally you're going to find a way to make it taste good so that you can experience the like and the physiological response and the reward syndrome that comes along with liking something. And if you have a relationship, somebody you're going to be with or looking to be with for the rest of your life, then you need to enjoy that. And like is the foundation for making that happen, though we get the two things twisted, and then love becomes the commitment in the jail that we live in because we feel indebted to the person because we made that commitment. So why do we're going to explore this in the next segment. Why do we actually make this commitment, right? How do we jump that like and decide that we're going to be committed and call it love when we just on a daily basis in interacting with this individual, we generally are not happy or enjoying it because we don't like each other. We don't have this general sensibility of comfort around one another that allows us to really just enjoy and be happy. You know what I mean? So many relationships and the quality of the relationships is based around this commitment and not based around the condition of happiness. And I think that's problematic. 1 out of every 3 marriages end in divorce in general. And in you know, our households, we talking about black households, 62% have one parent. And so with that being the case, something is not, and I know there's a whole lot of social issues involved in it, but something is not jiving, something is not clicking. On the Good Advice Extended Stay show tonight, we're saying it could be you just generally don't like to be around that person or to be in a relationship. Princess Landis Unseen. We'll be right back with you.
Check out the Good Advice Show Extended Stay every Tuesday night, 8 to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on BWNYBroadcast.com and GriotNationNetwork.com. Don't miss it.
Unseen Princess Landis back with you. Good Advice Extended Stay, Griot Nation Network. Make sure you log on. Check out all the programming that exists. Good Advice Extended Stay, the Griot Nation Radio Show, Political Perk, and everything that we have to offer as a media outlet for your benefit, your health, and for your enjoyment. We're talking about like versus love, or like and or love as it pertains to our relationships. And Princess Landis says that like is more important to her as a foundation. How can you, I think commitments develop organically when you like somebody, you know, but they develop for other reasons when you generally just say, well, I love you. I know you can love things about a person. You can love certain characteristics that a person possesses, and you can become committed because you stepped up. You know, you was attracted to that and you stepped up and entered into the relationship because of that. And generally you don't like the person, but they hella attractive. And we find ourselves in this jail and we're not really happy, but we don't know how to get out of it. What do we do in moments like that?
Well, I mean, if we don't know, how can you approach or fix a problem if you don't know that you have one? And so if we have a preconceived notion of what love is. Love is a strong word. You know, I love you is I have this strong feeling for you, affection for you, fondness for you. And when we say that, generally that comes with a tie. You get married, you're personally connected and tied to that person. Liking someone, I wonder if people really think about sometimes why you had an argument about something or why that just seemed to irk you a little bit. Not saying that you like everything about a person, but there are some things that I just learned even, you know, as an adult, you know, that I love you, but man, I don't like you. I don't like your way. I don't like the way you handle me. I don't like that. And so those are some questions that we think we need to think about in the dating stage, if you will. Or I want to even back up before that and say in the friendship stage. But in order to even be in that beginning, we have to back up a little bit as it relates to the processes that we find ourselves in when we find ourselves being in a relationship, right? Because how often do you go from friendship to, we're dating to we're in a relationship? Generally, it's we're dating and we're in a relationship. The friendship is never really involved. And so I think that that's something that needs to be addressed. When we were younger, you had courtship.
Right.
Courtship was the friendship, right?
Right.
And then you had a relationship. And during that courtship, generally the reason it worked out was because there was a likability factor there.
Right.
You were suitable. The courtship is so that you have the appropriate time to see if you're a suitable match for one another. But when you take courtship out of it, you remove friendship from it. You remove that process, which some people would say I can't think of the word that I'm looking for, but it's so corporate, if you will, that you're going to look at this now as an arrangement. There it is. Right. An arranged marriage is, are you a suitable match for one another?
Right.
And so we need to start looking at those things. And if you find yourself in a relationship and you have to walk backwards, I've done it. It's not easy.
No, it's not.
And you get to that point where you say, whew, the problem is I love you, but I don't really like you, and I don't think you like me. And that's okay. Those are conversations. That's a profound to even get to that point.
No doubt. And if you talk about doing this self-inventory or doing this inventory, I think that's important. Can I live with the level of discontent I have for that particular behavior in that person? Because you're talking about commitment. You're talking about living with a person. You're talking about dealing in a situation that's for, the rest of your natural life is what you're committing to, or the possibility of that. And the idea that you don't like this individual really shouldn't even be if that's the case, that should be a deal breaker, but often it's not. And that's for a lot of reasons. But if we do this self-inventory and we do the inventory of our relationship and we say, well, I don't like that in the person. I don't like that, I don't like that action. I don't like that action. Then we say, can I live with that? Then, you like you said, you're weaponizing yourself to be able to make the right decision for your happiness, and that person's happiness, and having these candid conversations about it that lead to what type of relationship should we have after this? Because that likability factor, that courtship is so important. We skip it for a lot of different reasons, as you stated. And in skipping it, we end up having to work backwards, because that's the time frame that's normally dedicated to organically mesh and be comfortable around each other and understand what makes you uncomfortable by the same token, and make some adult, intelligent decisions about what type of relationship you're going to have going forward. I remember when we was growing up, do you like me? Yes or no, check the box. You couldn't say love. You know what I mean? Because you didn't have no perception of what that was. You haven't entered into, adult love, which means commitment and, unconditionality and all those things. Because if the little boy stinked, then I don't want to be with you no more. You stink, or I don't want to be with you no more. You mean, or whatever the case may be. you still had that flexibility to be able to do that, because in your innocence, it was truly based on you liking that person. And then when you got around them, you identified it as like, but it really was some level of attraction. But if y'all, you know, got around each other and had a good time, you find yourself going to lunch with the person, and, you know, I like this color, and you start meshing, and that likability began to form an organic bond that was naturally formed, not predestined and preconceived, based on a whole lot of responsibilities and a whole lot of emotional needs that have yet to be defined in those two young individuals. And to recapture that innocence as an adult is necessary. And this is why we do courtships. This is why we take our time to make sure that we stand still for a moment and put those needs to the side. You know, put those, I really want somebody, that's really a fly dude, to sit still and say, do I even like this cat? Or do I even, do I even like her? And then, and then proceed cautiously, proceed responsibly, and proceed truthfully. And then wherever the chips fall, when you do that, that's your relationship. And the next segment, though, is speaking to the fact that when you come up with that answer and hey, I really can't live with this person, and you step into that next phase of dishonesty, well, you say, but I want them anyway because they're going to be a good parent to my child, or they make X amount of dollars, or, he look like he, can put it down in bed. She look like she good with this. Whatever decisions we make, after we really know, I just don't like you. You a good person, but I don't like you. But that denial kicks in because you still want to go forward. You have another reason why you want to enter into the relationship. That's something that needs to be interviewed, because I think a lot of us do that. And when we do, and it bites us in the ass, it comes back and shows itself to us, then what do? What happens in that moment when you realize, hey, I can't go no further? This was just a ticking time bomb waiting to explode, a pipe waiting to bust, because of that decision I made to go forward with this, knowing in the beginning that I just really didn't like your ass. Yo, check it out. Good Advice Extended Stay. We'll be right back with you. This is Unseen Princess Landis. We're talking about the difference between like and love, and being responsible for the result that you get when you learn an absolute. I cannot put up with that. I cannot put up with this. But you decide to go forward anyway for other reasons. And when you meet that result, what happens? Y'all hold on. Stay on the gas.
Check out the Good Advice Show Extended Stay every Tuesday night, 8 to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on BWNYBroadcast.com and GriotNationNetwork.com. Don't miss it.
Griot Nation, we are back with you. For those that are checking us out on the Griot Nation Network, and for those that are checking us out on the Good Advice page on Facebook.com/The Good Advice Show. That's where you could get the show, y'all. Good Advice Extended Stay, and make sure you stay up on the topics, man. We guarantee that everything you get will feed your spirit. We wouldn't have it any way else. And so we talking to Princess Landis. Princess Landis is speaking to me, and we're speaking to y'all. So, sister, in your great wisdom, why do you think people, I'm gonna ask you to speak from a woman's perspective. Let's do that first.
Okay. Let's do that. Okay. All
right. So why do you think as a sister you get to that point where you're like, I don't even really like this man, but I'm gonna still rock with him? What makes a female, a woman, do that?
I think, in my opinion, and I can't speak to all of it, but I do think some of the reasons are we look at a man as, a provider, that they can offer a certain amount of security. Some men, depending on their social status, they're maybe not where you think they should be, but I've heard this a lot. But he has potential. sexual pleasure. He may not be, Denzel Washington in the face, if that's what you like.
Right.
But he laying it down in the bedroom. And that's what I want. So he's, bringing my china at night. And so we bypass all of the things that are important to us, like someone who's opening up the door or showing chivalry, paying for a meal, or calling you to see if you made it to work safe, calling you to see if you made it home, perhaps, maybe not cooking a dinner, but maybe even picking up dinner for you because you worked a 12-hour day.
I cook.
And just to say, hey, I just want you to know I'm thinking about you.
Right.
We bypass those things.
The thoughtful things.
Those thoughtful things that's the longevity. That's the meat and the potatoes of the relationship, because as we get older, my looks will fade. However, they won't in the eye of the person who loves me.
Speak.
And who really wants to be with me for who I am as a person. But the only reason that would never happen is because he understands who I am authentically. And our relationship grew, right, from that standpoint.
Organically. And I do think likability is the quickest way to establish that, to know how this person is. Distinct likability is a direct path to a person's character, because in love, you act out certain things to please the individual. You act out certain things to have what you want, but it may not generally be you. And when you see the person stop opening the door, and because they were putting it on because, like you said, they wanted something from you or you wanted something from them. And then now you see, I generally don't like you. That wasn't really you. Likability a lot of times does not allow that to happen, because they're not just treating you like that. They're a likable person. You see them treating everybody like that.
Right. And that's important. And sometimes it doesn't last long, but it just depends on how much of that person might have that you deem important in a relationship.
Right.
And so sometimes in the beginning we say, well, you know what, I'll forego him opening up my door for me.
Right.
But really deep down inside, that's important to you. Or, where it doesn't matter if we go out to dinner and, he pulls my chair back from me, or we sit at the table and he allows me to, pick up my fork first, or, and these are small things, right? Or if we're sitting across from one another, that we can have a conversation, or you can have a book and I can have coffee, or, I want to be with you. I want to take a walk with you. I want to go to the movies with you. I can have ice cream, coffee, dinner with you, Baskin Robbins, McDonald's, Burger King with you. It just doesn't matter. But that's because I like you. So no matter what comes with that, it's not going to change, because first and foremost, I understand who you are. So not just liking how you look, not just liking what, how you dress, not just liking the fact that, oh, you wore some cologne. I love when you wear that cologne. What about when you decide to just take a shower and you don't put on any cologne?
Right.
Am I attracted to the rawness of who you are? Your pheromones, are they speaking to me? Do I like how you feel after you work out? I mean, it's so many things.
Girl, what you know about that? Wait a minute, hold on. She went to the pheromones. You don't know nothing about that, girl. You talking about, there was a time when we did not wear deodorant, and you knew who your man was by that scent. And they used to illustrate that in the cartoon with Pepe Le Pew. He was a skunk, but he was the skunk of love. And, he used to walk around, and then so that was the whole premise of the cartoon. But you don't know nothing about that. So you got to be, come on now, and that's a general. These are real traits, okay?
These are real traits. I was talking to somebody one day, and he said that he did not like the way his wife smelled.
That's heavy.
And he did. I knew that because we were just having a conversation, and that before they would have sexual relations, he would have her take a shower.
Right.
And I mean, okay, we all had long days and whatever, and women have a lot of stuff going on that men don't. But all the time.
Right.
Something's wrong with that.
Right.
And you know, and now in my mind, when I was listening to this, I was thinking, only one or two things is going on right here. Either you don't like your wife or some other problem. I'm not going to go into that.
Right.
But
some type of physical problem.
Some type of physical problem. But when we talk about pheromones, that is important, because I even find I've experienced that, where I like somebody was like, well, do you wear cologne? Because he just didn't smell good to me, even after he took a shower. And I was like, I'm not attracted to you. Versus I've dated somebody and we could, he could come from the gym, or even me, and somebody is like, oh my God, you smell like strawberries, and you think you don't.
It's been plenty of times where I woke up in the morning, I do something called morning kisses, with the woman that I'm with, and he's like, you haven't brushed your teeth yet. I'm like, what does that have to? I haven't brushed my teeth yet. I'm like, what that got to do with it? Like that smell, when you inside of that likability, when you inside of that love, everything that love that's based on likability, everything that you do is an expression and an elevation of that. So it's difficult to be, if not impossible, to be turned off. What turns people off is bad attitudes. What turns people off is how you treat somebody. I've walked in the room. I've been in a situation where you go, you built up to go see somebody, and when you go in, they say something, they automatically turn the mood off. They automatically put you somewhere where you like, yo, I was feeling this way, but how you act took me this way. But you're beautiful though. You know what I mean? You're attractive. And so what I think what you're talking about, even when you're talking about pheromones and understanding of liking somebody from the raw essence out, and then establishing your love around that's very important. Making that list and understanding what that is and being able to build a relationship and build a foundation on it is very, very, very important. Because even when you're talking about pheromones, when a woman, if you study the gateway to a climax in a woman, she has to have a particular smell for that to take place. You think it's the size, and everybody think it's when you get to a certain point in lovemaking with an individual, and the pheromonal mix, the auras and everything that's happening in that moment, what activates that actual climax is a sense of smell in a woman. And that's the preparation for the orgasm for the man. He's not supposed to so-called come, if you will, we adults, before that, because that activation has not happened yet. And that's the cleansing and the preparation for the unity that takes place once he has an orgasm. And so this likability, this general likability, does have a physiological effect and a physical effect when it's really there and it's functioning properly, and it creates a bond that seems unbreakable. And even though you may not have that relationship you set out to have, once you connect in likability, you have the flexibility to make it what you want to, because the bond and the connection is there. You're not basing it on, well, you're not my wife, or you're not. That has no definition. It just is. Right. Check this out, Griot Nation. Very great, very powerful conversation that's happening right now. Good advice, extended stay family. We getting excited right now, and when we come back from the break, Princess Landis, I want you to talk to me about the sisters when they make their list, and what happens when you base a relationship on, well, he got more good things than he do bad, and does that really work? I need to know that, man. Good advice, family. We all need to know. And when we come back, Princess Landis is going to dig into that beautiful mind of hers and let us know. Hold it down.
I need to know.
Check out the Good Advice Show Extended Stay every Tuesday night, 8 to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on BWNYBroadcast.com and GriotNationNetwork.com. Don't miss it.
We're right back with you, y'all. Great show. We're talking about the difference between like and love, and relationships that are built and love that's formed on foundations that are not, on sand and water, and loves that in relationships that are formed on something solid. And it brought me to a question that I had for Princess Landis. I just took a deep breath, y'all. I had to exhale. It got real deep in the last segment, and so we're still moving. The river is still flowing. When I've heard a lot of sisters say they make a list, right? And when the man comes, how productive is this list when you're really trying to find some level of truth in a relationship? Is the expectation more important of what you're looking for, or what happens? Is the list really, first of all, does it exist? And second of all, how effective do you think it is in finding real true love?
Oh, number one, does the list exist? Yes.
Okay.
There are sisters out here who have a gauntlet for a list.
Yeah, and I do think it's healthy in one regard, but I just want to know the ratio in your mind.
Yeah, definitely. I do think it exists.
Okay.
The second part of that is it's okay to have a list, but more importantly, is what's on the list. Okay. If your list is you want a man who can sustain you, has a 6-figure income, owns his own property, drives a Bentley, all of these materialistic things, but you don't have anything on your list stating to, is he compassionate? How is his personality? How is his character? Is he a conversationalist or no? Is he an introvert or the opposite? Does he talk in the morning or no? What are some of his habits that
wow.
Are they applicable to your lifestyle, or does it make you cringe inside? And so those are real life things that need to be on the list, because those are things that we're faced. Finances, it's important to want security, but for the most part, a sister can secure themselves, right? You have jobs, go to work.
Yeah, and that's the point. You can be with that was the whole point of, the Tyler Perry movie. You could be with somebody that got $1 million, but if he treats you bad, then what? And so,
then what?
But my question, I feel you on that. And so it becomes a matter of a sister like yourself, strong sister, who appears as though, and you said it on the last show, I like myself. I love myself. I really don't need you to do that. It's not a requirement that you do that. I'm not dependent upon that. But is that on the list that you have to like that person because you've already provided those things for yourself? And so ultimately, how's this list formed if to a self-sufficient, independent, self-aware, self-loving woman, and I say independent in the right way. You complement a king, you compliment a God, you compliment a man, you do that. So not independent of a man, but independent in the sense of not being dependent on a man or a woman to fulfill your needs. But ultimately, how do you reconcile that?
Well, to answer that, I think for now, we know what's important or what's on the list or what items on the list. And your question earlier was, is that, can those things sustain a relationship? Or what happens when the man showed up and he had everything on your list, but that wasn't enough? Now that's when the self-inventory comes into play, because you have to go back to reassess yourself and reevaluate what's really important to you. Because sometimes we think that those things that we listed were important, but they were important at 30. They may not be important at 40. And so maybe in the course of your relationship of a year, of 2, of 3, or 4, you didn't get married. I can speak to this because I've gone through seasons upon seasons upon seasons, in a relationship. But the beautiful thing about that is that you get to reevaluate yourself and reassess the situation and reassess the list, if you will.
Make the adjustments.
Make the adjustments and see where you are today and what's important to you. And that's life, right? We should do that all the time in our careers and our personal lives, in the workplace, home life, we should always be reevaluating our situations and can we do better, or what do we like or not. So, and then we go to, okay, so after he showed up and you find that those things are not important, what do you do? So you have to have now, here comes that communication, open dialogue. But what if you're with someone who's not a good communicator, who shuts down every time the wind blows east, or, doesn't know how to have an effective conversation to really convey to you what he's thinking.
Right.
And so that is the beginning of the process. I believe that you can be with someone and come back to it and revisit those things and have a healthy relationship. But I do think that it takes two people to be willing to do that.
Right.
But then that's that question of like and love. But if it's a question of, you know what, I don't like you, because we hear that a lot. Well, he leaves the toothpaste cap off, or the toilet paper. He puts the toilet paper to roll from the
bottom,
from the top, and I like it to roll from the bottom. These are issues that people have arguments with every day. You take your underwear off and you leave it on the floor in the bathroom, but the hamper is right there, or and you got shoes.
And so the question
those things are
becomes,
important.
they are, and the question becomes, do I not like you, or I don't like what you do? And so, in if I address what you do, and the response is denial, or the response is defense, now I'm beginning to not like you. Like now it changes, because your behavior is always indicative of who you are. But a lot of times, like you said, when you're in a relationship with somebody, you haven't had that reflection before you got in the relationship. So maybe you didn't notice. And so when it's brought to your attention, it has to be some time given, before you make that decision that I don't like you. Even, for me to determine if this is really you, or, is this the adjusting period for us getting to know each other's language and kind of understand each other's rhythm? Because you're talking about literally living with somebody. I don't think that people are, maybe living with somebody at some level, at some point, but you're talking about spending the rest of your life with someone. And I don't think that people really take into account the fact that if you commit to somebody every day when you get up, you're saying that you're going to be partially responsible for this person's emotional well-being. That's heavy, because y'all are interdependent on one another to some degree, because you've made a commitment at some intersection in your life that would benefit the both of y'all. And so you can no longer just consider what you do and what you do only. Even your independence and your self-awareness then has to become a benefit, and has to become a foundation and a strength to the relationship. It's no longer you. So if I say to you, Princess Landers, I have to have a music room, I got to get away for 2 hours a day, and you're the type of person now, I have to do everything with my man and XYZ. If we meet that right there, before it becomes a behavioral, a behavioral problem, and say, I can't really rock with that, and make a decision right there. I never have to get to the point where I don't like you. I could just say, no, you know what I mean? I that's something we can't live with, so we can't have that type of relationship. Let's do something different. But a lot of times we skip that, and we allow ourselves to cause people to fall from grace in our mind. And once they don't have that elevated, area of like and love in our thinking, then we begin to lose interest. And before you know it didn't have to be like that.
Exactly. And to add what you're saying, because I agree with you, also when you say fall from grace, it's more so because I thought in the beginning I could deal with these things and it wasn't a big deal. And as time goes on, one thing that you said, which is very important, when you bring up something, a behavior or habit that someone does, and you bring it up and they discount it, and they are not accountable for their actions and what it is that they do, or how the action that has happened, how it may make you feel because of the way it was displayed, and you start to now look at them with discontent. You know, well, I don't even want to fool with you, and you don't even know how that happened, because you were so head over heels for this person, and now I'm just looking at you like I really don't like you. But the reason why, and I agree with you, there shouldn't even have to be a fall from grace.
That's right.
Because that shouldn't even exist if we felt comfortable from the very beginning.
That's right. And built
to talk about those things when they come up. And
that's a matter of you feeling like you're comfortable, and the likability of this individual invites conversation. And if and it's not the same with everybody. So that means that when somebody sometimes does it, then you may see a person as being absolutely rude, but another person may not. But as it pertains to you, if you're not comfortable, you don't make the generalization, and you don't look outside of your experience to you know what I mean, to make a determination on how you feel and what you should do. But you do take all of that information into account. But you know, in your general direct experience with this person, you're uncomfortable. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. There's not a general feeling where you think you can sit down and talk to this person. So without that likability, you don't even have an opportunity to make that communication a lot of times. And when you do, it's not quality. It's a dancing around. It's a avoidance. It's a lot of things that come with that. Likability eliminates that a lot of times. Yo, we're going to be right back with you. Princess Landis, I got to tell you, girl, you're on fire tonight. It's really growing, and it's growing hot and heavy. And so Good Advice Extended Stay always brings you this type of heat and passion, because we are serious about making sure that we have quality relationships. Make sure you stay tuned with us every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Griot Nation Network. Y'all know how we get down, man. Stay on the gas. We'll be right back with you.
Check out the Good Advice Show Extended Stay every Tuesday night, 8 to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on BWNYBroadcast.com and GriotNationNetwork.com. Don't miss it.
So when you love somebody, Griot Nation, when you love somebody, Good Advice Extended Stay family, sometimes you find yourself feeling trapped. And my conversation with Princess Landis in our direction of our topic this evening, between like and love, is the saving grace, if you will, the tool when applied in the proper place. The likability factor can save you from entering into the jail of your own love, if you will, where it does not turn you into a prisoner, but it allows you to constantly explore more and more things about the individual, because you feel free to do that because you've liked them from the beginning. Y'all were comfortable in expressing this likability, which brings about a joy and an enjoyment, which brings about a happiness, because joy is happiness when you like something or you like someone. And, you know, that is the foundation of the conversation. And we encourage you to do the things that you like, practice those things, and get to know yourself in that before you meet someone else and try to find it in someone else. Be comfortable in the things that you know you like and the things that you are not willing to compromise on, so that when you meet someone, your list is defined by things that you're already aware of and things that bring you joy and bring you happiness. And so when that person or that thing comes around, you're comfortable. And when issues may arise, you know, you could talk to the person because they are likable people. They are listening people. They are accepting people. And that's so important. Princess Landis, I have to, you know, again, thank you for riding with me, and have to ask you this before we go. Just in general, what would you prefer that we leave in our relationships as a legacy? Is it that I really liked you, or I was really committed to you and I loved you to the end?
Oh, goodness. Okay, well, so it can be twofold.
Okay.
Because you can not like a person in the beginning, and over a period of time that can change with open dialogue and conversation, and really being transparent to that other person so that they can get to know who you are. But likability is so important because that is the caveat to carry you, conduit of, to carry you on into the relationship growing into being something so much more. Because, you know, things happen in our lives and our relationships where if you start off in the beginning with this list, make sure that you have on the list some of the things, the traits that you possess. I'm compassionate, so I want a brother who's compassionate. You know, I want somebody who's not going to stand for a whole lot of BS. I want someone who's going to have my back, even though, you know, maybe in public, it's not the greatest thing. Like the fact that I stand up for myself and others. Like the fact that, you know, I'm just a no-nonsense person, or I communicate, or I like other people, or, you know, whatever that is, I like to read, or I like to sleep. I just think it's important that we are patient with one another and that we give ourselves time to have natural, organic friendship first and foremost. Right. Because if you don't have a friendship first, you can't even know if you even like the person, and that's where it starts. Right? You don't just get ice out of the freezer if you don't put water in the ice cube tray to put it in the refrigerator, and you can't put water in the ice cube tray if you don't turn on the faucet. You know, I mean, I could go on with that analogy, but it starts there. You know, with the hello and the conversation about who are you, or more importantly, who am I? Because I believe if you open yourself up to someone else, someone said this to me, I'm an open book. And that says a whole lot. Because if someone says that to you and you know that you aren't, or you know that it takes you a little bit longer to get there, then communicate that.
Right.
You don't have to be closed because that may frighten you a little bit, but just say that. So it's important for us to be patient with one another. It's important for us to understand that if you want to have any type of sustained relationship that will sustain decades, if that's what you want, that patience, friendship, likability is very important, and the rest will follow.
No doubt. That is, y'all. Good Advice Extended Stay. That was Princess Landis. I am the capital UNCN. Join us next week, 8 p.m., the Griot Nation Network. The topic would be makeup sex. And remember, like yourself. Love yourself. Remember first. And remember the movie. When Denzel Washington turned to his son, and the son said, "Why you don't like me?" He said, "I ain't gotta like you. It's not a requirement." Well, we saying to be healthy and happy, it is a requirement that you like yourself and you like others. They like you, and from that, you will be healthy and happy, and give yourself an opportunity to experience a quality of love that will build you and support you and sustain you. If that's what you're looking for, like yourself. And if you want more of that, make sure you like the Griot Nation Network's page and YouTube channel, as well as the Good Advice Extended Stay YouTube channel and page. Like and subscribe. Subscribe to yourself. Like yourself. Become your own fan. And then you too can be a fan of other people and them of you. Good Advice Extended Stay. Unseen Maroon, Princess Landis, Chicago, Buffalo. Till next week, y'all stay on the gas. Makeup sex coming your way. Princess Landis. Peace.
Good night.
Check out the Good Advice Show Extended Stay every Tuesday night, 8 to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on BWNYBroadcast.com and GriotNationNetwork.com. Don't miss it.